Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you are not hungry already. We do have a lunch in some time. Yeah, so my name is Amjad, and I don't think I need to introduce myself again because he already did. And thank you again, Sardina System, to arrange this event and inviting me. It's an honor for me. So yeah, we don't have much time, so I will just deep dive into my topic, that is benefit and challenges of Kubernetes deployment and automation. It's not something which I can explain in 20 minutes, I would say, but yeah, I'll try to put some lights on it, at least for the main benefits and the challenges which we do have nowadays when we are deploying the Kubernetes. So let's start with it. I think it is working in a reverse direction. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing is, what is Kubernetes? I hope like most of you are already aware what is Kubernetes, but still I just wanted to give a quick brief what is Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is basically a container orchestration platform. And that is not the container, the food container or the packaging container. That is actually an application container. And when we say the application container, so it's, you might heard about the Docker container. So that is basically a container of application where we do have like all of our application code, all dependencies and everything. With the help of Kubernetes, we can manage it, we can orchestrate the container deployment in a more efficient way. So it helps us to like do the high availability, scalability, and the portability, of course. So with the help of Kubernetes, we can always like have the high availability on the container system and the container application. We can easily scale it in a larger way if we want, and we can also like easily migrate it from one platform to the another platform. So that is what container is doing. In the morning, Ellen asked me what is Kubernetes. And that is the container the Kubernetes which I explained. It was like more on a technical side. If I would say in a normal way or in a easy to understand way, so I used to work for a company where we do have like a application which was working on a like number of virtual machines. And trust me, whenever the hardware life cycle is ending, or if we need to like upgrade the operating system of our application server, it was very hard. It was very challenging for us because we always have to like migrate the application from here to there. So with the Kubernetes, it will be a portable application. Like it doesn't depend on the endpoint where it is going to be deployed. If you have the container, if you have the Kubernetes setup, then you can just simply change the endpoint. You can deploy on the on-premises, you can deploy on the Azure, cloud, AWS, whatever you want. So that is the one of the like most important benefits which I personally like of the Kubernetes. So yeah, that is what Kubernetes is. If you see like those 6, 7 circles or the hexagon, so those are basically components of the Kubernetes which is helping Kubernetes to drive. Like scheduler is one of them, which is actually deciding where the container should be executed or should be running. So that is one of them. Then we do have API, etcd database, and a lot of things which I couldn't cover in this 20 minutes, definitely. So let's move to the next one. Yeah, so the first thing which we are going to talk about is the benefits of the Kubernetes deployment and the automation. So if we start with the Kubernetes deployment and automation, the very first thing is the high availability, which is like one of the most important part of any application. So whenever like we are deploying application, our complete business depends on that application. So it should be highly available. If we need to spend some money, we are ready to spend. But our application should be available at that time. Like a 10 minutes or 15 minutes downtime of our application can cause like a big loss to a company. So high availability is like one of the most important part of any application. Kubernetes help us to give high availability on the containerized application, in which it helps us like in the pod distribution. So basically when a container is running, it in Kubernetes language, we call it as a pod. So pod distribution is something like if you want to run the instance number of instance of an application is like 5 instances, then Kubernetes will make sure all 5 instances will be running. If some of them are like getting crashed or something like that, it will automatically open another one or start running another one. So it will make sure, it will guarantee you that number of 5 instances of application will be keep running. The another option is the node redundancy. with the Kubernetes, we can also have the node redundancy. Like we can have number of worker nodes in the Kubernetes where we can run our application. I want this container to be, or this application should be running on 4 different nodes. So I can get the node redundancy, like one of the node is going down. I don't need to worry about that. I don't want my application to be going down just because of one of the node is going down. So that is something we can get with the help of the Kubernetes. That is another one of the important benefit of the Kubernetes. Then we do have inbuilt load balancing system with the Kubernetes, which is also helping us, like based on the utilization of the system, it is automatically deciding which container or which pod should be running on a which node. So let's assume we have like 3 nodes. 2 of them are like 80% utilized. Now I want to run another application, and the third node is like underutilized, maybe 25% or 40%. Then it will automatically put your new instance of the application on that third node. So it does have the mechanism. It does keeps talking to all the nodes and deciding where it should be running. And based on the like number of instances, we are getting on top of that load balancing, which we do have internally, and it is automatically deciding. We can also configure the liveness port, like my application is running on the port 443. I want if this particular container is running, but the port 443 is not accessible. That means there is no use of that particular container. So in that term also, load balancing will stop sending the traffic on that particular node, which is in like not responding status or something. So yeah, that is another benefit of the Kubernetes in terms of the high availability. Then we do have the scalability. Let's assume we are a company of like, we do have a 500 people now, we are keep growing, and we wanted to like grow our application as well. It's maybe a e-commerce website or something, and we are getting this Black Friday sale, Christmas is coming up, and now we are expecting more workload. And I want to extend my application to be more redundant in that time. So what I could do is I can just simply introduce the furthermore pod replication. As of now, like number of replication on the nodes is like number of replicas are 5, but I'm expecting that the workload is going to be increased. So I'll just keep it increasing by number of 10. So it's just like a single command, and I can keep it increasing without impacting my current application. Same thing we can get on the node level as well. So if we have like number of nodes, we can just simply add the another node. And if we are like, that is something I'm talking about in terms of the on-premises. If we are on a cloud or any other platform which is also providing the node scaling automatically, so we can also get the node scaling automatically. You don't have to like onboard the node by yourself. It will be automatically increased. So that is also we can get with the help of the Kubernetes. And then the auto scaling. We can also decide, and we can also configure, like if the utilization is getting high, even on my container or my pod level or on the node level, I can decide to set up the auto scaling. So it will automatically keep increasing the replicas of the application and the number of instances, and it will just keep increasing. Then we do have like one of the most important benefit, that is portability. Kubernetes, like you can directly deploy on the on-premises servers. So you have on-premises system, you can just configure your own Kubernetes cluster, you deploy your application, and it will boom. It will keep running on the on-premises. Same thing we can do on the multi-cloud. Like if you don't have the on-premises system, you can always deploy the Kubernetes on the cloud. So we do have like different features and the benefits available on the cloud level as well. So we can decide based on our requirement. If we do have like on-premise environment, we can deploy on the on-premises. We can move to the cloud. We can also have the hybrid benefit. Part of the application should be running on the on-premises. Part of the application should be running on the cloud. So that is also possible with the help of the Kubernetes. And the last part of the portability is easy to migrate. As I mentioned before, like I want to migrate my application from here to there. I can just simply get my code and keep running on the another one. And if I include the infrastructure as a code along with the Kubernetes code, then it will be awesome automation end-to-end deployment. So you can like write your code, you can have your Kubernetes YAML and the configuration file, a declarative file which you can write and deploy, like what is going to be deployed and all those stuff. And you can just take it from the on-premises and move it to the another one. Maybe from one hardware to another hardware, or maybe from on-premises to the cloud. So Kubernetes makes the containerized application portable. And the last and the most important, another most important part is DevOps and the GitOps, those fancy terms nowadays. Like whenever we heard about the DevOps, it's like, oh wow, what an amazing thing. So yeah, Kubernetes does support the DevOps and the GitOps, both the things and both the technologies. With the help of infrastructure as a code and the version control, you can easily deploy your application, and if you are thinking like the application is not working in a way you were expecting, you can just simply roll back. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to format, you don't have to erase anything. You can just simply run one command and it will just go back to the previous version. Isn't it amazing? And then it supports CI/CD. You can simply integrate your Kubernetes because it's a declarative. So you can just write your code, the deployment code, and you can simply attach it with any CI/CD, whether it's a Jenkins, whether it's a Azure CI/CD or whatever the CI/CD you are using in your organization. You can just simply take it and put it into the CI/CD as an endpoint, and it will keep deploying your Kubernetes application in an automation phase. The last one is the desired state with the GitOps. That is one of the very amazing technology, I would say. So the challenges we start getting once we move to the Kubernetes is, like I deployed the Kubernetes with my code with the CI/CD. Some engineers goes into the Kubernetes and just destroy any of the pod or service or something. How I'm going to track that, or how I'm going to make sure like this shouldn't happen. Otherwise my application is going to be down. It will be very hard to find like doing the audit and all those stuff, right? So with the help of the GitOps, we can manage our desired state in the actual environment. So you have your code in the GitHub, you just sync your code with the actual deployment with the help of the GitOps. There are some tools, some open source tools which we are going to talk about, and then you will get all those benefits. Yeah. So those are the benefits of the Kubernetes deployment and the automation. The next thing which we are going to talk about is the challenges of Kubernetes deployment and automation. So of course, guys, if you are getting some benefits, they are coming on a cost, and those costs are like a challenges, because it's at the time it is like very beneficial, it is very challenging to manage. Kubernetes, one of the most important or challenging part in the Kubernetes is the deployment complexity. It is very, like I recently was deploying one of the application, and I found like it was 22,000 line of a code, a YAML file. And now let's assume you have to deploy the same thing for like a couple of more applications. How you're going to manage it? How difficult it will be? First you write the code for the application, and now you write the code for the deployment. So yeah, as it is a deployment, it is complex to deploy the application in the Kubernetes, but it does have like a very big open source community, the Kubernetes itself, and we do have like a lot of other offerings or the open source tools which we can utilize and like come up with those complexity we can just get rid of. So there is one of the tool is the packaging tool, Helm packaging. So like when we are deploying the application into the Kubernetes, it is basically like different parts. So if you want to deploy, we can use the packaging tool, which will just package a complete application and will deploy in a single form. So that is one of the tool. Then another tool is the GitOps tool, the Argo CD. That is again like an amazing tool to keep your application in a desired state. So if someone is coming up and destroy any service, GitOps will make sure that service is going to be created automatically again. So we can configure in a way, and whenever it detects like the desired state, the actual deployment is out of a sync compared to the desired state, then it will just keep it in a synchronization. Then we do have like, of course, security is one of the most biggest challenge I would say in the Kubernetes, but at the same time we do have like tools available. We do have cluster security tools like the Kubebench, which will basically scan your current deployment and compare with the CIS benchmark policies and identify and let you know like this particular configuration is not correct or it's not in line with the security. So you can just go and change those. We also have the Falco, which is again like keep track of your cluster. If it finds any vulnerability or something like that, then it will just keep you informed. And the another security part is the container security. So as I said, like Kubernetes is deploying the container. Now you have to make sure the container is also secure before it is deploying. So you can scan those containers with the help of the Trivium or the Clear, and you will get like if there is any vulnerability or something. So it is basically scanning against the container vulnerability database, and it will compare like if it finds anything, any vulnerability, then it will just showcase you this container is not good to deploy. Then another complex part of the Kubernetes is the networking. So yeah, it's always hard to like configure a proper networking setup on the Kubernetes. But yeah, we do, thanks to those network plugins which we do have from a different open source community, which we can utilize and have our network secure. Like we don't want this particular application to talk to another one, or maybe inside the application itself, like I don't want this front-end application should talk to the database. It should always go to the backend. Front-end will talk to the backend, and backend will talk to the database. So those kind of restrictions I can have with the help of those network plugins. We also have like service mesh, which will help you to like make it more secure, make it more visible. So you will get all the observability and all those stuff with the help of this networking service mesh Istio. Yeah, the last thing is monitoring and logging. So again, like how when it is complex, also you have to you need the observability of your Kubernetes cluster. So it should be observable, like where your application is running, you should be able to see all those stuff. So like the utilization and the logging and all those stuff. So with the help of these different tools like Prometheus, you can keep monitoring your application. With the help of Grafana, you can get a good view dashboard where you can like just keep integrate your Kubernetes cluster, and you will get a complete observability over there itself. And for the logging also, you do have like a FluentD and the Elastic Kibana, which you can use to do the like log analytics of your logins in the Kubernetes, just to keep track, do the audit and all those stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much what I could complete in this 20 minutes. And hopefully like I could make like some lights on those benefits and the challenges of the Kubernetes. That's all. If you have any questions, just do let me know.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ahmed, we have a panel later on Kubernetes.